Verse 18. In the dark age, Shang-Ti, true God, giveth his commandments in conjunctions. He showed the people what is right and what is wrong. In my day, the people know these things, but they do not practice them. Verse 19. Even the preachers and conductors of ceremonies in the temples, who proclaim righteousness and charity and good works, do not practice what they preach. They live in ease and luxury, but tell us to go give to the poor. Yeah, and they threaten us with hell if we do it not. Perfect example of the churches today. Verse 20. Of these different doctrines there are 700 kinds in the sacred books, and they all condemn the followers of others. Whereupon, to escape the damnation of hell, a man would need to do sacrifice more than 4,000 days every year. This is not possible to any man, for there are but 365 days in a year. Verse 21. Nor is it possible for any man to learn all the books. 1,000 years would not suffice. Verse 22. God forbid that I may add more to the burden we have already, and I know he will preserve in our abridgment all that is good in the whole of them. Verse 23. Since we cannot live according to the multitude of doctrines and philosophies, we must abridge them within the scope of man. Neither must we cut any of them off entirely, or we lead the followers thereof into rebellion. Verse 24. Since we have so many law books and so many judges' decrees, all of which a man must learn before he can become a judge of the court, the which is impossible, we must cut them down into a few simples, but sufficient to cover the rules of discretion in judgment. Better is it to throw the judge of the court partly on his own judgment and responsibility than for him to be a blank as to judgment, simply reading the decree of a preceding judge. Verse 25. And as to the religion of this man or that man, behold, it hath come to pass that each in his own order performeth his rites and ceremonies, and sacrifices and prayers, like a trained horse in a showsman's circle, going round and round, and knowing not the meaning thereof. Verse 26. For it comes to pass that the religion has made machines of the worshippers. The law books have made machines of the courts. The books of governments have made machines of governors and emperors. Verse 27. I am sent into the world to make men of men and women of women. Verse 28. There is no religion to suit me, therefore I make one. There is no government of the empire to suit me, therefore I devise one. There is no system in society, therefore I make one. Verse 29. I am not sent into the world to destroy what is or what hath been. There are enough evil men to do that. I am sent to cull the harvest and to gather choice seed from what now is and what hath been. Verse 30. For the seed I plant is selected, not to be planted in the ocean, nor on the moon, nor in a far-off country, but to be planted in China, and in China I will plant it. So this is a rundown of all the books that Caillou and his disciples will be taking and converting and condensing into one book, and it's showing you the vastness of China's history at the time. Now, chapter 34, verse 1 through 35 states, now these are the bases of the doctrine. Verse 1, what were the old foundations? Verse 2, to dwell in families, in parentheses, communities, with the father to each and every one. Verse 3, what of the ancient states? Verse 4, the fathers had families with chief fathers over them. Verse 5, what of the empire? Verse 6, the chief fathers elected one over them, and he was called the Sun Father, because as the sun is the glory and beauty of the solar system, ruling over planets, so was the emperor the son of mortals. Verse 7, what was the scope of responsibility? Verse 8, as a father is responsible for the behavior of his own child, so was the rabbi responsible for the behavior of his family. So was the chief rabbi responsible for the behavior of his family of rabbis. So was the emperor responsible for the behavior of his empire. Verse 9, what was the responsibility of a child to its natural father, of a man to the rabbi, of the rabbi to the chief rabbi, of all people to the empire, of all people to the emperor. Verse 10, the child shall be taught love, to revere, and to obey its own father and its mother, who is his vice father, the man to love and revere the rabbi to love and revere the chief rabbi, and the whole people to love and revere the emperor. Verse 11, why this order? Verse 12, It is the doctrine of the ancients, handed down from generations to generations, and hath proven to be a good doctrine from an empire. Verse 13. How knew the ancients these principles? Verse 14. The Creator taught them. The Creator sent his high angels, God, who hath charge of the intermediate world, down to mortals to teach them. Verse 15. How was this proved? Verse 16. By the sacred books of the ancients. Verse 17. Who wrote the ancient sacred books? Verse 18. Men inspired by the angel of the Creator. Verse 19. How was this proved? Verse 20. It is proved negatively because man cannot write so beautiful nor in the style. Verse 21. What were the fundamental doctrine of the ancient sacred books? Verse 22. To worship none but the Creator. Verse 23. To have no images nor idols. Verse 24. To keep the day of the change of the moon as a sacred day, and to do no work on that day, but to practice rites, processions, and ceremonies for the glory of the Creator. Verse 25. To love the Creator above all else. Verse 26. To love one's parents next to him. Verse 27. To kill no living creature maliciously or for food. So the Creator laws is vegetarianism, once again, showing you that he don't approve of killing his animals and consuming it in your digestive system. That's an abomination. Verse 28, to tell no lies, nor to steal, nor to covet anything that is another's. Verse 29, do not unto others that they should not do unto us. Verse 30, to return good for evil. Verse 31, to feed and clothe the stranger, the sick and helpless. Verse 32, to be not idle, but industrious. Verse 33, to say no ill of any man or woman or child. Verse 34, to practice the highest wisdom one hath. Verse 35, to respect all people as we desire to be respected. Chapter 35, verse 1 through 20, it states, verse 1, what were the ascetics of the ancients? Verse 2, that heaven and earth are warring elements, one against the other. Verse 3, that all men must choose to serve one or the other, and at once engage in the battle. Verse 4, if a man desire everlasting life and bliss in heaven, then must he battle his earthly parts with great vigor. Verse 5, he shall torture his flesh by fasting and by lying naked on sharp stone, and by flagellation, and otherwise showing before the gods how displeased he is with his corporeal body. Verse 6, he must live alone, denying himself all pleasures, sleep not in a house, nor eat cooked food. Verse 7, what is the extreme of great learning? Verse 8, to devote one's whole life to learning what is in the books, to cultivate the memory that one may repeat all the words in 4,000 books is a great learning. But it is great learning to be capable of repeating 8,000 books word for word. Verse 9, what is the extreme of loyalty? Verse 10, to love the emperor, so one cannot see his faults, to love the rabbi, so one cannot see their faults, to love discipline, so that one hath no time for anything else, and on the contrary, to have no time for discipline nor rites nor ceremonies. Verse 11, what is the law of life? Verse 12, the spirit of man is the man, to live for the growth of the spirit, this is the highest of living. Verse 13, what manner is spirit communion? Verse 14, the spirit of one person can commune with the spirit of another, if they be not encumbered with grossness. The spirits of the dead can commune with the spirits of the living, even without one's knowing it. Verse 15, what is the destination of the souls of men? Verse 16, when man dieth, his spirit is born into the air of the earth, which is the intermediate world, whether he sojourns until sufficiently purified and is reverential to the Creator. And then it is taken up by his angels to dwell in the higher heavens forever. Verse 17, what shall mortal man do for the benefit of his own spirit? Verse 18, he shall love the Creator with all his soul and strive to emulate him in good works and gentleness and love. Verse 19, but if he do not these, what then? Verse 20, his spirit will be bound in hell after death, and he will become a victim for the delight of demons. chapter 36, verse 1 through 70, it states, verse 1, Confucius said, "Such is the base the ancients have given into our hands, but who could follow them into detail?" Verse 2, "I was not born into the world for this, but to choose from each and all of them what all of them will accept." Verse 3,